This is Reflections Day 3, which is the third day of reflections in the Transformations unit. Day 1 had us reflecting points and figures across the x-axis and the y-axis. Day 2, we were reflecting things across the lines y equals a number and x equals a number, so any horizontal and any vertical line. And today, day 3, we're going to be reflecting across the lines y equals x and y equals negative x. It's a little bit of a different process, so make sure you're paying attention. So to reflect a point across y equals x or y equals negative x, which let's pause for a second here and we can look at what exactly those lines are. Y equals x is going to be the line going through all of the points where the x and y values are the same. So 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, going the other way, negative 1, negative 1, negative 2, and so on and so forth. So it's actually going to be this diagonal line right here going through all the corners and through the origin. The line y equals x goes the other way. So if your y value is 1, your x value is negative 1. If your y value is 2, your x value is negative 2. If your y value is 3, your x value is negative 3, and so forth and so on. So it's the opposite of it going across the way, this diagonal right here. So to reflect across either of those lines, you're still going to count to the line and then count the same number on the other side. But now you're going to cut and turn 90 degrees when you hit the line. Okay? So we're going to do a couple examples here to show you exactly what I mean. It is a little trickier just because you have to remember exactly which way to go. So we want to complete the following line reflections. The first one is going to be point A, 5, 2. So let's start by graphing 5, 2. So we're going to go to the right 5 and up 2. And we're going to put a point. Make sure we label it A. I can't say that enough. Make sure you're labeling your originals and your images. We're going to be going through the line y equals x. So it's one of these two. It's right here. Y equals x is the right-hand diagonal going just like this. Got a positive slope. And we're going to go ahead and reflect this point through there. So we're going to count to the line, and then we're going to turn 90 degrees and shoot straight up. So we're going to reflect 1, 2, 3 spaces. And it's going to go 3 spaces up. So it goes 1, 2, 3. Make sure you label it A prime. Now notice that that line cuts right in between there, right? If we had gone to that line and then gone down instead, they'd both be on the same side, which didn't reflect anything. It would have just moved the point on the same side of that line. Okay, so we need to find our new values here. So we are at positive 2, positive 5. So A prime is 2, 5. Example 2 is going to go through that same line, y equals x, but now we're going to do the point negative 3, positive 2. So we're going to go backwards 3 and up 2, which should be right here. Make sure you're labeling it B. And we want to count to that line again. And then this time, we're not going to turn up. We're actually going to turn down so that we're on the other side of the line. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. And we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces straight down. And we are going to label it B prime. Okay, so A was on one side of the line. It hit it and turned up. B was on the other side, it hit it and turned down. Okay, again, if you had turned up with B, you would have ended up somewhere up here, and you wouldn't have reflected, you would have just moved it on the same side of this highlighted line here. Okay, the coordinates for our B prime are positive 2 and negative 3, so make sure we write that down, positive 2, negative 3. Now, when you're writing this, I know you're not going to be able to take that line out after you draw it, that's okay. I'm expecting that, it's fine. But I made it disappear here just so that you'll be able to see a little better for the next example. Because example C is going to reflect the point negative 2, negative 2. It's this point right back here. And it's going to reflect it across the line y equals negative x. You'll notice that this notation is a little different. The lowercase r still means reflection, and this tells you what line you're going through. So y equals negative x, so that other diagonal right here. So one more time, we're going to count from C over to the line. It ends up being 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So we're going to hit that line, and we're going to turn 90 degrees to go on the other side of it. And we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces right here and label it C prime. Okay, the coordinates for that are a positive 2 right here. So you'll notice that, again, this goes across the line. If you had gone in the other direction, you'd end up somewhere way down here, and it wouldn't have reflected it. It doesn't flip it across that line. Okay, so I'll give you about 10 seconds to go ahead, and you can start copying this down. We're going to go ahead and move on. We want to reflect a figure. This time we're going to take a whole triangle and we're going to perform the same reflection to all points on that figure, just like we have done in the past. You're actually going to do this example on your own so that you get a little practice and give it a try on your own. So we want to graph the triangle and its image after the given reflection. So we're going to do triangle XYZ. Let's start with the points, which are X, which is 2, -2. So 2, -2, X should be right here. Again, as I say every time, make sure you're labeling it. If you don't label it, I'm not going to know what's the original, what's the image. I don't know what goes with what. And you'll actually see here when we're done with this, labeling it becomes extremely important. Point Y is going to be 6, -6. So we're going to go +6 and down 6. You'll end up somewhere way down here. And that's right, make sure it's labeled. And the final one is point Z, 6, -2. So we're going to go forward 6, down 2, and you end up right here. I hope you said it in your head. Make sure you label it. Okay, we'll go ahead and connect those points. Bang, just like that. And now we're going to reflect it across the line Y = X. So I'm going to go ahead and let you do that on your own. I'll give you about 10 seconds, and then we will work through it. Alright, so the very first thing you should have done was gone ahead and drawn the line Y = X in here. This is the line Y = X going through 0, 0 on the positive diagonal here. It's got a positive slope. And we're going to start with point X. So we're going to count how many spaces it is. It is 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So now we're going to turn, and I hope you went 90 degrees straight up. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces straight up. We're going to go ahead and label that. You'll notice that X prime are both on there. Coordinates of that are -2, +2. We're going to do point Y next, which is down here. It's a long way over, so we have to make sure we're careful when we're counting all the way across that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, 12. I think that's 12 spaces. 6 to the line, 6 more to get back here. So we're going to count 12 spaces straight up. I know, again, it's a long count, so make sure that you're going straight up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 right up here. And make sure you label it. Okay, make sure you label it. Notice where my X is. Notice where my Y's are. And now we're going to do point Z. So we're going to take this count over to the line, and then we're going to count straight up. So it ends up being, oh, sorry, forgot about that. Y prime is at -6, +6. So make sure you're writing that down. I had forgotten to. I'm glad that I had it in the show here so that it wouldn't let me forget. So now on to point Z. We count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 spaces. So it's 6 to the line, another 2, 6, 8. And we're going 8 straight up. Again, make sure you're counting carefully. Some of these are kind of long counts. And I did label that Z prime. Coordinates for that. Went backwards 2, so it's a -2. And we went up 6, so it's a +6. -2, +6. Okay, I went ahead and connected those, which you should also do. Remember, if you have more than one original point, you should connect it into a polygon, and then connect your images into a polygon as well. Now, some of you might be looking at this and saying, it looks like you just slid it up. But labeling is the really important part with this, because notice that your X point right here is the upper left point. If you go to the upper left point here, it's not X anymore, it's Y, because you actually took this whole shape and you flipped it over. So your Y was way down in the corner, it flips across that line and ends up in the upper corner here. Okay, your X is close into the origin. When you flip it, it stays close into the origin. Okay, and Z does the same thing. It's in between those two, so when you flip it, it ends up in between again. Okay, if you have any questions about this, make sure that you write them down so that you can ask me tomorrow, or you can always comment under the video and I will do my best to get back to you.